It always starts before it says live on my end. I see it later. So, hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Texas Gal Treasures. I am Margaret and my channel is all about helping you learn how to make and save money. One of the ways I really enjoy making money is by thrifting, going to garage sales and estate sales. And one of the things that I love picking up, I have a huge passion for, is jewelry. Whether it's fine jewelry or costume jewelry, I love it. Men's accessories, everything. And I get a lot of questions about jewelry. So I thought I would take this time to answer some of the questions that I've got from viewers. And I am live, so if there are any other questions that come in to the chat, I'll answer those as well if I can. Also, I want to say there's a new feature on YouTube, so if you are watching this later, I didn't pop the chat out. Sometimes when I'm live, I'll pop the chat up so you can see it in the video. But now there's I don't know which side it's on, the chat. But now there's a way for you to click on it and watch the chat after the show so you can see who all is here and what the timestamps are and everything. So it's really cool. So I don't have to put it on the screen too. That's really nice. Thanks, YouTube. So also little bits of news. If you guys have been watching me for any length of time, you know I have a jewelry group that has been paid, and we've gone back and forth in the group. We've talked a little bit about opening it up and making it not paid. One of the reasons being I started homeschooling, and so the time that I was spending researching and creating videos and finding contacts and getting together with people, I felt like I wasn't able to provide as much as I was. So I was feeling really like I was letting people down, and everyone was saying I wasn't, but I felt it. You know, I felt like I wasn't living up to what I expected of myself. So we're stopping having it being a paid group, and we're going to slowly open it up. So right now we're just over 200 members in the group, but it's such a great group. It's so cohesive, so positive. There's no, jewelry snobs in the group that are, going to make you feel bad for asking questions, or, if it's, I don't know. So it's really all inclusive, really positive, really a nice group. So we're slowly opening up. If you're watching on if you're on my YouTube channel on the homepage, there's a little button next to my banner that says, jewelry lovers and sellers. So we're going to slowly start letting people in, and just kind of see how it goes. It's going to be pretty strict about how you behave. We're not going to have any people at Angels. I love our group. It was a tough decision because it's like a really nice haven, a jewelry haven where you don't have to worry about people being nasty for asking questions or things like that. So we'll see, and we're gonna be pretty strict about negativity and hateful behaviors, because they gotta go, if they're in there and they're being ugly. So, Secret Santa was great. How are we gonna work that? Oh my gosh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Okay, so because we did Secret Santa in the jewelry group. We may have to limit how many people, because this is my figuring it all out, hand gestures. But yeah, it was so fun, right? So yeah, there's that. In the group, it's a really great group. We're still doing themes every month. So earlier on, before I started homeschooling, I was getting people in the field. Like when we did men's accessories, I met David the Cufflink King, and we did a private video, private chats, and then when we were doing more with men's accessories, Lynn from the Tie Chest came. Well, I know this is a Q&A, but I'm just like, we did a lot of really cool stuff when we talked Bakelite and when we talked vintage plastics. We had Sharon, and then Brittany came over from her website just went Vavoom Vintage. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Swag Maven saying, yeah, I hate it when you ask a question and they say Google it. I hate that. Yeah, I mean, obviously you Googled it before you came, Anyway, the whole thing is that we are opening the group up, and we're gonna be really careful about how we're letting people in and slowly building the group up and making sure that it maintains that same atmosphere, because that's really important to me. It was a whole reason that I closed the group off to begin with, was that there were so many people that were being they were just like mowing people over, and it was that. So there won't be any of that. So there's that. Okay. You loved the Secret Santa. Wasn't it great? It was so much fun. Okay. But this video is all about asking questions. So I just wanted to throw that out there about the jewelry group. I'm excited because I know there are some people that, even though it was $5 a month, it wasn't a whole lot, but to some people it's $5 a month. You can't spare it. I get that. My husband's been out of work. So definitely. All right, so let me jump into the questions. So if you've got questions in the live chat, also let me know. And I've got some that I've pulled up from some of the videos, so I will share those. Let me peek real quick in the chat before we get going. Yeah. I think one of the things we should do is show our own jewelry. Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so some of the questions that I get are, one, this isn't one that I have pulled up, but one of the questions I get frequently is, I want to get into jewelry, but I just don't know where to start. So when I answer that, I say, well, I started small for one, and I started with things I was comfortable with. So I really was into men's accessories. It was something that I felt like it was inexpensive to pick up, and it was a smaller group of things for me to focus on. So I would pick up cufflinks and tie bars and tie tacks and slowly start learning about them and list those things. They sold relatively well if you got someone that were in a nice shape. And then I started branching out from that. I would pick up things that looked interesting, that looked like they were well made. I really liked selling bracelets. So for a while there, I was picking up cuff style bracelets because those sold well for me. And slowly, I started getting to know more and more of the costume jewelry brands, and then slowly started realizing everything sells. So if it's in nice shape, it will sell eventually. So I'm going to do another video sharing like what are some good things to look for, but figural jewelry, the like animals and trees and things like that people collect. So anything somebody would collect. So there's that. You're not comfortable with gems, Swagman says, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, too. Some of them look so similar. It's nice to have a group that you can come to and ask as well. In the chat, Angela's asking, where do y'all buy cardboard boxes in bulk for shipping? What's your most common size? I mostly sell necklaces and brooches. The one that I get the most often is a 6x4x4 box, and I have been told that it's overkill, that it's too big, but for me, it's a good size. I don't have one handy or I would show you. But it's about so big. And I just put tissue paper, like colored tissue paper, and then the item will go into a velvet bag inside of that. So I get those. I've gotten some from Amazon, and then I get my eBay coupon for shipping supplies, and I buy the 6x4x4. I use that for that as well. So, yeah. Yeah, so if you have eBay, you can get the boxes with your coupon, right? Okay. Oh my gosh. I see a lot of my friends from the group in there. Okay, so that's where I start. Another question that I get frequently, if I'm starting, what are some tools that I should get? One of them is my loop, which I have handy right here. So I have a loop, and this is just because if you want to get in there and look at the marks that are inside, or you want to see if if you want to get a closer look, basically, to read the label or the stamps on the inside, it's something good to have. Mine is a 30x21. There are different strengths, and some people use their phone, and zoom in on their phone, which is totally, it works, right? Another thing that I like to have handy is a magnet, and I think I have links in the description box down below. So those are two of the main things. Now, when I started really getting further into selling jewelry, picking up jewelry, I ended up buying a gold and silver testing kit. It takes some practice because it's acid you're working with, but it was worth it because I was picking up more and more things that were marked gold or silver, and I wanted to test them to make sure, because testing them on your own, you have a better idea of what you're listing. You don't, it could be marked 14K, but then it's not 14K. Like this ring, where is it? I have it here. this ring that I'm still on the fence about this ring, that I picked up, and it's marked 14K. And even the gold guy, I tested it at home. It did not test for 14K, even though it's marked that. It did test for 10K, so it could be plated. But I'm thinking I'm going to take it back to him because he was surprised too. So yeah, he was kind of in a rush. So I'm going to probably take it back and say, let's talk about this ring. Tell me what you think about it. Because why not, right? And he's easy on the eyes, so whatever. So if you get more and more into it, definitely having an acid testing kit is beneficial, because you don't want to list something like, if I just saw this, I didn't have a kit, didn't test it, oh, it's 14K, cool, and listed it, and somebody gets the ring, and they get it tested and it's not, then it's just like a big, you didn't, are you scamming me or whatever. So it's nice to have if you're going to sell things that are higher quality, so that you can make sure that they are what they say they are. So there's that. And those are the main tools that I use. Let me check in the chat. Magnets are fickle. Yes, this is not my same magnet either. Here, I'm all for easy on the eyes. He is. All right, so this is like this. I actually honestly got this. My kids' rock collection is right over there, and this is a piece of hematite I just grabbed from their rock collection because it's magnetic. But because I unbox things so much, I have lost my magnet so many times, and I'll find it later. There goes the lid. But it'll be like tangled up like this with a bunch of jewelry in the bottom of like a little tub. Yeah, so I have misplaced it all the time. I should have some, definitely. Okay, so, I'm looking in the chat. Let me know here. Okay, Brenda's asking, I picked up a Napier necklace that has a loud perfume smell to it. What can I do to clean or remove the odor? Well, that's a good question. I've never had to do that before. I'm wondering if vinegar would work. I mean, I guess I would Google it first and see, like, because vinegar is usually my go-to for removing odors. But I would be careful to make sure, Google that to make sure it wouldn't affect the finish, or if there's any stones or anything like that. So that could be good advice, or it could be horrible advice. Honestly, I haven't had to deal with that, but that would be my go-to to figure it out. So yeah. Oh, you have to buy one. Maury says, I watched one of the gold testing kit ones. No, Lydia, he's not the one that looks like Jeff Goldblum. He's the one that works at the post office. So I noticed these things. Yeah, one of the postal workers, he looks like Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. Anyway, so okay, I'm not going to say your name right. She's saying clean it with warm water and then wrap in newspaper for a few days. Yeah, that's definitely a good tip too. Somebody else has mentioned putting things in the freezer, that sometimes that can like knock out the odor. So Swag Maven says, do you need to be in a ventilated area for the acids? Absolutely. I wear rubber gloves, get where you're not going to inhale all the fumes. I don't do it when the kids are around. So yeah. Apple cider vinegar, Christine says, okay, good, vinegar, yay. Okay, I'm looking in this just to double check. Okay, all right, okay, so next questions that I get, I meant to pull up that video, is how do I take the pictures for my jewelry? So let me pull that up real quick, because taking really good pictures can sell your piece, and it can also help your piece sell for a higher price. If somebody sees a picture of some jewelry and the pictures are not so great, and then they see yours next to it, they might be more inclined to pick up yours rather than the other person's, and even pay more for it. So let me pull this up real quick so you can see. Where did they go? That's the chat. This is it right here. Okay, so you can see, like, so here are some of the pieces of jewelry, some cufflinks that I've got, and the pictures are, these ones are okay. I've got better, but these ones look okay. So I have a video that I've done that, let me pop this over so it's not so messy looking right now. to help with that. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. Photographing jewelry. Let me see if I can just Google it. Where basically I have a little pop-up tent that I use. Here it is. I have a little pop-up tent. This is not the right part of this video thing here. Let me scooch it over. Here, this one right here, it says jewelry photography. I know I'm covering up myself right there. But this one right here, I go through the steps that I take to take good pictures of jewelry. Where I use the pop-up tent, I use my iPhone, and then I will brighten them up after the fact. Sometimes I use photo fuse as well. So that's how I take pictures, and that's a really good video for how I do it. So there's that. But I'm a firm believer, and my pictures when I first started were not good, and I'm the first to admit it. So it's something that I just learned slowly and finally got better at. So if I can do it, so can you. And I do. I just use my phone, so you don't have to have a fancy camera or anything. All right, I'm looking here. Saltwater Fisher says, would you sell a vintage Avon animal pin that's missing an eye stone? Depends on what the animal is. Probably not. Some people fix and they'll go get the rhinestones, or they'll order, I think Cindy, you can order like a kit that has different sizes. I'm sorry, my shirt keeps slipping out. Where you can fix the stone. I have never done that, but if it's cool enough, I might. And depending on what the animal is, I might try to sell it without the stone. So, because people collect different animals. Otherwise, I would put it in a lot of, like a craft lot type jewelry. Pamela says, I found some sweet vintage pieces. One thing that disturbs me is seeing vintage on eBay way underpriced. Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I look for when I search for pricing is I don't generally look at the auction prices, what people have on auction. I look at the buy it now prices, because a lot of times auction prices will be lower than what I like. And then when I'm researching, I also Google the piece. So it pulls up other sites, it pulls up Etsy, it pulls up eBay. So you get a broader picture of what the price could be for the item. I always press higher than I just do. And I put best offer on eBay. It tends to work for me. So a little mouse with glasses, maybe not. I think I have the one that you're talking about. Did the little glasses move? Because I think I have one that's just like that. Oh, Debbie says Bonanza has a background remover that's free. Okay, I got off Bonanza a while back, so maybe I need to check it out again. Yes. Christine says you can do it broken jewelry lots. They sell well. Keep all the broken bits. And she knows what she's talking about. She sells some great lots. Okay, so next, let me pull up the questions that I have. Let me see if did I lose the... Those are me. Everybody okay out there? They were outside playing, so let's see. Where did I close out that window? Hang on. I think I may have closed it out. Okay, let me switch this out real fast. Hey, Sugar, you okay?
Are you done?
Nope. You okay though?
I got an invitation.
What?
Yes, my birthday.
Elijah. Because his mom messaged me.
Are you done now?
No, I'm not done. I'm talking to everybody. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so here are some other questions that I've gotten. We got an invitation to a party. It's a very big deal. So, Sunny asked, so plastic beads sell? And I say yes. This is, again, one of the things that I'm all for selling everything. I'm not going to only sell what is fine jewelry or buy a costume jewelry maker, a known maker. I've sold Harlequin plastic beads. I've sold pink modeled, like, I don't know, they felt like they were made of ceramic or something. So I do, and I get that question a lot too. Well, what do you do with a piece of jewelry that's not marked? What if it's not Sarah Coventry? What if it's not Monet or Napier? What if it's a piece of costume jewelry that's just no name? right? I got this jewelry. I mean, there's no name. How are they going to find it, right? I get that question a lot. Basically, you just describe what the piece is. This is so weird too. You just describe it, and somebody's going to be looking for a theme or a color or a pattern, and they'll find it and buy it. So not everybody. Of course, I got my water ready, Mimi. Everybody wants to come and disrupt all at the same time, which is just fine with me. She's very angry now. So yeah, I sell everything. You just got to get it up there and described. If it's in nice shape and it's a pretty piece, if you can find good keywords for it, then you can sell it. And that's one of the things that the group's really great for as well, is helping come up with good keywords for pieces. I know I've gone to them a number of times and said, this is a really cool piece of jewelry. I can't think of the words to describe it. Can you help me? And the group just, yes. So it's been really, really great to have that as a resource. So if you're not in, a group like Jewelry Lovers and Sellers, consider coming over and joining. So yes, plastic beads sell, unmarked jewelry sells, it sells. Now, how much it sells for depends on what it is and what it looks like, so there's that. All right, let's take a look in the chat real quick before I go on with some of the other questions. And make sure I'm not jumping or skipping. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. Okay, so next up, I know this one's T9C. It's kind of hard to read. I don't know if I can zoom it in for you. This one is from Kim. Hey Margaret, just started listing jewelry jars on Etsy and eBay, but having a heck of a time getting views. Can you do a video sometimes how to describe my items and listings to get more views? So that is something I can do, but I feel like I kind of jumped ahead. But having a group like Jewelry Lovers and Sellers where you can go to share a picture of a piece and say, I've got, especially on Etsy, you get so many characters to describe and put keywords in. Y'all, I need some help with these keywords. Help me out. And I can't tell you how many times we've had somebody share a picture in the group and say, help me with keywords. And then they come back just like a week later, look, it's sold. Yay. We all get to celebrate, right? So, yeah. So just finding the style, knowing what is this style called? This hanging style of the jewelry, or knowing the finish, knowing the color, knowing the stones, knowing the setting of the stones. So that's, again, I have another video that I'm going to be talking about that in. Let me write a note to myself real quick because I just had a note to self that I was going to do a video on. There we go. Okay, got it written down. So, but having a group, if you don't know, because when you first start, you don't. I mean, when I first started, I didn't know, and luckily I had some people that were not ugly to me that could help me out. So, yay. So yes. Okay, next question is, let me zoom it in again. Melissa Villanueva is asking, what do you do with all your empty jewelry jars? Because you guys know I do a lot of jewelry jar unboxings, and you get these, I don't have any handy, of course, right here, but these glass jars. So what I do is either I redonate them to the store or I recycle them. If I was in an antique, I don't have an antique booth anymore, but it might be something I, hang on to make a jar to sell pieces maybe that I didn't want, or a craft lot in a jar, maybe to put in the antique booth. That might be something to consider if you're doing that. You have a ton of jars, she says in the chat. Okay, let me check in the chat real quick. Do you find it makes better? I think they're talking to each other. If you have Carlos, hey Carlos, if you have a gold piece, no hallmark, just the carats, do you multiply the scrap price by 2 or 3? It depends on the style of the jewelry. If it's something super awesome, it depends. Because if it's a nice Art Deco piece and it's just marked, then I might do even more than 2 or 3 times the price of that. It's funny because we were at the museum today and they have a Hall of Gemology and they have in there like really fancy jewelry set, stones set and nice stuff. And my son was asking me, Mom, how much would this be worth? Like if we melted this gold and got this stone, like what would it be worth? And I was trying to explain to him that you can't always go by the melted gold price. I'm like, yeah, if it's a damaged piece and you're not going to be able to sell it and it doesn't look cool, sure, like let's melt it down and sell it for the scrap value. But if it's a beautiful ring that's 14 karat gold and it's got a stone in this, even if it's a peridot, it's worth more than the scrap value. So yeah, definitely more than that. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of depends on the style. And even though, like, let's say this was 14 karat gold, this nugget ring, it's not my style, but I know like my grandmother loved gold nugget stuff. I was just like, okay. So this would have been right up her alley because she loved it. I don't know why, but she did. So what you think is attractive may not be what other people think is attractive. So, yeah, that's a hard one to answer. Well, not super hard. Just go high. Yeah. Oh, thanks. So Christine's talking about broken lots. I'm so glad that you guys can watch. If you're watching later, you can see the chat and still you know what I'm who I'm talking to. And oh, cool. All right, next. Okay. So let's go back to some of the other questions. That was from Melissa. Thank you for asking questions. I try to get to everybody's comments, and respond to everybody. So if you leave me a comment in a video, I like to make sure I respond to you. So, all right. So Canadian Mama Life says, when you look for choosing individual pieces, what do you look for when choosing individual pieces? And what do you list your jewelry items that are not sterling or gold under? So what do I look for when choosing individual pieces? So what I look for is, hang on, Mimi's, where'd my water thing go? No, she'll start kicking things around in here. I look for things that are well made. I look for things that are unusual, things that I haven't seen before. I'll look for figural pieces, things that maybe aren't damaged. I look for things that don't look like they're a dime a dozen, What else? I'm trying to think of course, things that are marked, so now I don't go for all like Napier, Monet type jewelry if I see it out. If it's cheap enough, sure, but just because it's marked doesn't mean it's going to sell as well as some other things in my experience. So, yeah, things that are well made, things that are not all scratched up in a mess. I need to learn more about watches because I see them and I have a bunch. Let's see, what else? What else do I look for? I think that's pretty much it. In men's accessories, things I'm comfortable with. Yeah. Bougie Bear Vintage, shiny, blingy rhinestone pieces. So yeah, sometimes if they're the right kind of for me, the right kind of shiny ones. What do I list my jewelry items under that are not sterling or gold? So usually on eBay there's different like costume jewelry, or fashion jewelry, things like that. And then on Etsy, it doesn't really go. It kind of goes by if it's a bracelet. What kind of bracelet. They have a different system over there. And Maud Pugs asked, how do you choose what goes on eBay versus Etsy? So what I do, I was reading in the chat. So as far as eBay versus Etsy, I basically cross-post almost everything on eBay and Etsy. They must have gotten muddy. I hear the shower going in there. Sorry, y'all. If it's vintage, which now is 1999 or before, 1998, 1999 or before, if it's vintage, it can go on Etsy and eBay. And a lot of the lots that I've done, I put on Etsy as well as eBay, even if some of the pieces are not vintage, because the lots that I've created, some of them are craft, like I can list them under supplies, because on Etsy you can list supplies there, and supplies don't have to be vintage. So most of the stuff, if it's something that I know is more recent, then I won't list it on Etsy. But sometimes you have to, if you're not sure, ask in a group, maybe, do you guys think this is vintage? It looks like it. Is it a reproduction? But even now, some reproduction pieces are vintage. So you have to kind of go with your gut on how it's made, or ask in a group to find out if you think it's vintage or not. Mod Pegs, oh, do you ever do auctions or all buy it now? Kara, okay, yeah, I do all buy it now. Every now and then I'll do an auction, just like if I'm trying to clear out my eBay store, but I never get what I think something is worth when I do an auction, so I don't usually. I have all this Star Wars, I got all this Star Wars and G.I. Joe stuff, so pardon me, I'm considering it for that, but then I know I'm going to want a high price, so we'll see. I just started at a certain level, I suppose. Oh, okay, thanks, Craftjoy. Let's see. Okay, let's go back over to the question, see what else I've got over here. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. I think I might have touched on this one. So, Canadian Mama Life again, curious, how do you clean the jewelry, especially the earrings? Do you sanitize them before you wear them and or sell them? So, if I'm wearing them myself, I definitely sanitize them. Now, I'm careful about how I clean things before they go out because some people are sensitive. So, I do put on my listing, like I do light like soap and water or something like that, just something that is not going to damage the piece, or just lightly clean with a cloth. But I put in my listing that it's lightly cleaned. So if I'm buying a piece of jewelry off of eBay or Etsy, personally, I'm going to clean it before I wear it because you just don't know. So I'm hoping, I clean it, like I say, I clean it lightly, but I don't want to go in there with rubbing alcohol or something that's harsh. Debbie says I steam earrings to clean them. Okay, and some people have those the jewelry cleaners, but you have to be careful. Like certain things can and can't go into them. Somebody shared in the group, like the do's and the don'ts. Like there was a cheat sheet for what to put in there and what not to put in one of the jewelry cleaning, what do you call those things? Systems. I don't have one. So yeah, I just lightly clean them. Do you count as income on taxes? Bye, Christine. Thanks for coming. I'm not quite sure. I definitely pay yes, all my income. I share all my income on my income taxes. I do. So I think that's what you're asking there. Okay, a couple more questions we've got here. This is from Bill Bam, and he says, just wondering if you clean tarnished silver jewelry before listing. I know there's a lot of vintage items out there with tarnish and patina that you definitely don't want to clean. Not sure about jewelry. Thanks. So when it comes to jewelry, generally, I don't clean the tarnish off. Now, I have had some pieces that were black. Just completely black to the point where it's maybe even damaging the silver underneath. But usually if it's just a little bit of patina, I might, clean a little bit to get a good picture of the mark or the stamp. But mostly I don't. And I do leave, take note and say, the patina's left on there, you can clean it or not, because some people like it and some people don't. So I would definitely, personally, I leave it. So there's that, yeah. Yeah, I would drop them in the group, Pamela. Okay, so here's, a question for Pamela. Speaking of the devil, there she is. So Pamela, can you please do a video sometime how you decide what's worth selling or putting aside? I kind of talked about that, but yeah, just if it's in good shape, generally I try to sell it by itself. If it's like, it's okay, it's so subjective, right? Because then what I think is like, it's okay, somebody else might think it's just amazing. So it would be worth asking in a group if you're not sure. If you think like, this is like so weird, like this. I keep going back to this necklace because it's so weird. Like, it looks like hair in there. And I know it's not rutilated quartz, which I actually saw today in the Hall of Gemology. I was so excited because I was like, I know what that is now. But, yeah, I don't know. So, Candy Cat says, I notice people talking about storing jewelry in the group. When you keep your jewelry in plastic bins, do you put silica packets to keep moisture out? I don't, but that would be a good idea. You know, my grandmother kept some of those around, so maybe I could find some to drop in there. But no, I don't know. I don't normally. But I have the little drawers. I'll have to take a picture to share in there. Yeah. And let's see. Is that it for? Okay, that's it for the questions that I had set aside. Definitely, if you've got questions about jewelry, leave a comment down below, and I'll do another one later, you know, if there are any other questions that come up about jewelry. And I do have some other videos lined up for jewelry and what I look for and different things like that. But if you have any questions or things that you'd like to see videos about, definitely leave a comment, because I do take advice from the comment section and create videos based on the needs of you guys and what you're looking for. So let's see, there was a couple other things that popped in the chat. What will be the max you would pay for costume jewelry? I'm cheap, Carlos. So I don't usually pay more than $1 or $2. However, I did find, you know, I talk about Kendra Scott, which is a more recent, she's, you know, she's costume jewelry that's current. But if I see Kendra Scott, I paid for a necklace and earrings. It was like $2.99 for the necklace and $1.99 for the earrings. But I knew that they ended up selling the pair for $75. So it just depends. Like if I know that it's going to be really good, I don't mind paying up. I would have paid, you know, maybe $10 even for that. But if it's one that I'm like, yeah, okay, if I saw this out, I'm like, well, maybe $1. So yeah, I don't like to pay a whole lot unless I know that I'm going to make a return on it. So maybe $5. Just depends. So yeah. Oh, working on your taxes, Nana says, oh gosh, I have to finish mine. Oh goodness. You have to keep track of your sales. Yeah. I pay my taxes. I use GoDaddy, my PayPal, my bank account, sync with that. And so I can, you know, print off a report there for my tax lady, amongst other things that I give to her. So, all right. So yeah, again, if you are interested, just like I said earlier, we are opening up Jewelry Lovers and Sellers. We're probably going to take it slow on adding people in, because we want to make sure that everyone is incorporated and gets the vibe of the group, you know, so we keep that cohesive group in there. Yeah, so anyway, thanks so much, you guys. Definitely go down there and hit that like button. Let me know that this video was useful to you. Maybe you learned something. And if you're watching later, leave a comment. Let me know you were here. Say, hey, you got a question, leave a question. And yeah, but yeah, I like to see who's coming around. So definitely leave a comment. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for coming to hang out, everybody. Bye-bye.